What's up, guys? This is PJ. I am one of the founders of the KeyStem organization. On KeyStem, we aim to share with you different topics that could help you and assist you on your journey of self-realization and self-development. And one of those tools that we really utilize in KeyStem is the Enneagram. Enneagram is a wonderful tool to get to know yourself better and also come to know everybody around you a little bit better as well. Enneagram is consisting of 9 different personality types, and the series that I'm creating right now is a series of book recommendations for each type of the Enneagram. And what I aim to do is to put out one video a week for a different type. So last week we did type 1, and the book I recommended was by Brene Brown, The Gifts of Imperfection, which, a lot of these books that I'm going to recommend in this series are going to be good for any type of the Enneagram, truly, because, we all have a little bit of each of these types within us. So these books can allow us to see certain blind spots and empower ourselves by getting to shine a light on those blind spots through these books. Because basically what I'm doing is every book that I recommend for each type, my goal is for that book to shine a light on that specific type's blind spots. So, for example, I felt like for type 1, they have a hard time seeing their own perfection. They have a hard time accepting that they are worthy and that there are gifts within imperfection. And I thought, what book would be better to help them see that than the gifts of imperfection? So I'm going to do the same thing with type 2, which is the type I'm going to discuss today. And my aim is to really help shine a light on the blind spots of type 2. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started with type 2. So type 2 is called the helper type. It's the giver type. It's the type of individual who seeks to always be of service for other people. And just like with any type of the Enneagram, even though when you say that, someone who's always aiming to be of service, who's always aiming to help others, to give, to offer a helping hand, even though when you say that, it sounds great. Or when we were talking about type 1 and we were talking about a person who is a person who seeks to be perfect and perfect in, the surrounding and the projects and perfect the organization. On the surface, that might not seem bad, and some can argue that perfectionism is bad, but we do want people to help us move towards an ideal of perfection. So on the surface, these things like giving and being of service might not seem bad, and they are not bad, but everything to its extreme could be hindering, right? The same thing that is very empowering, when you take it to the extreme, can produce blind spots and can produce weak spots that if we don't look at those and if we don't shine a light on those, then those weak spots can become our Achilles heels. So our power can turn into the same thing that is disempowering us. And that's what the Enneagram shows us so well. So with that being said, when you have an individual that's always seeking to serve, that's always, aiming to help the group, aiming to help the collective, what sometimes tends to happen is that they might not ask be aware or give recognition to their own needs. So they want to be a person who has no needs and they only serve the needs of other people. Other people have needs, I don't. I don't ask for help. I am always available. I always want to offer a helping hand, because ultimately, why is the type 2 individual doing that? The type 2 individual is offering that helping hand because all of the types basically have a certain underlying belief about their worthiness. What is my worthiness based off of? And for type 2s, the story that they created in their own mind and or received from their surroundings during childhood especially was that I am good. I am a good boy or girl if I am of service, if I am helping, if I am giving. And the less needs I have and the more I meet the needs of others, the better I am, right? And there's not a single human being that doesn't have needs, but there are many human beings that don't ask for their needs. And another valuable part of the Enneagram is what's called the arrows. And the arrows, basically each type, there's an arrow that's pointing away from it, and there's an arrow that's pointing from it to another type. And basically what these arrows indicate is, where do we go when we're feeling great? When we're feeling at our best, things are going great, and we're moving towards integration. Where does our type go? For type 2, they go to type 8 during times of stress and disintegration. And type 8 is called the challenger. Type 8 is the type that has no problem confronting other people. It's not that they love it, but it's that they're the most comfortable in that scenario. And so you have this type 2 individual that never asks for their needs, is always available. Then all of a sudden, when they are feeling like they're not valued, other people are not seeing their worth, and the gifts that they offer the group, when they feel like they're being taken advantage of, boom, now they're in that type 8. Now they're gonna confront. Now you're gonna see this type 2 individual who was this very like calm, not necessarily calm, but like a person that didn't really cause conflict or anything like that. Boom, now they're super firm, like, I've been giving to you for all this time and you haven't been giving to me anything in return, and you've been using me, and so on and so forth. And you're just like, as the person who's been the recipient of type 2's help, you're like, I had no idea you've been expecting anything in return. But type 2's want in a lot of cases, they might want to create this image of they don't expect anything in return if they're giving. But as human beings, we do like to be acknowledged when we give. And when you go so long with this imbalance of just giving, 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 and never receiving, even though you haven't asked to receive, but you've been expecting to receive, right? When you go with that expectation unmet for so long, eventually it hits a boiling point, and then boom, you see the hidden type 8 come out. It's like the secret 8 is under the surface all the time within the type 2. So, as I've already mentioned, some of the blind spots, I haven't mentioned them directly, but I've kind of implied them in what I've said. The books that I want to recommend for type 2s are to shine basically a light on the blind spots of type 2 and help them empower themselves and strengthen certain qualities that can help them prevent hitting that boiling point, hitting that point of no return, hitting that point of like, I've had enough, now I'm just going to be very, very angry point. It's basically how to live a life of, self-respect, knowing that it's okay to ask for your needs. How can what books can I recommend to type 2s to help them, strengthen those abilities within themselves? So, first book I want to recommend is this book that I have been recently really enjoying. I'm a type 9 myself, and I feel like these two books that I'm going to recommend to type 2s are going to be very applicable and helpful for type 9s as well. One of those books, and the first book, is called Codependent No More. Codependent No More is a book that I think it's over 25 years old now, and it's on the cover, it's sold over more than 5 million copies. And that just goes to it's just a testament to the power that this book has had, and the timelessness that this book has had over time, and the help that it has offered people who have struggled with codependency. And codependency has a very vague definition, and a lot of times we might not know what that means, even though we might show characteristics of codependency within ourselves. Basically, this is my understanding of codependency based on what I've picked up from this book. Codependency is when you allow another person's moods, emotions, actions to completely control your moods, your reaction, your peace of mind, everything. Like, you're so attached to another person's actions or lack of actions, and anything they do, anything they say, any behavior that they show, you are so affected by that. It's almost like you don't have your own sense of personhood. You're at the beck and call of other people. And so for type 2s, codependency can become a very big issue because they're so used to helping, they're so used to being the giver. Now all of a sudden, and they've become so attached to, in a sense, to the good moods of the they've become so attached to the good moods of the people that they have been helping and offering service to. So it's it's a codependent relationship that they have been a part of. So Codependent No More really helps with overcoming codependency and stepping into your own sense of personhood. The realizing that you don't have to always react to what other people are doing in response to your help and giving. You don't have to always react. You can detach. Detachment is also a very helpful tool that type 2s can utilize. Detaching from, it's like you're entitled to the action, but you're not entitled to the fruit of the action. And I think that's somewhat a teaching from Bhagavad Gita. It's like you can give, but you're not entitled to what the outcome of your giving is. So anyways, the Codependent No More book is super helpful for type 2s. And one of the main things that helps overcome codependency is boundaries. So this brings me to my second book that I want to recommend for type 2s, which goes very hand in hand with Codependent No More, is this book called Boundaries. So I have bought this used and it didn't have the actual cover when it came, but Boundaries, let me make sure it shows Boundaries. This book is written by Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend, and Codependent No More was written by Melody Beedle, Beatty, I believe. And if I'm mispronouncing that, I greatly apologize. Boundaries, this book helped me as a type 9, and I'm sure it will be very, very helpful for type 2s, because boundaries basically means creating separation between you and people around you. And for type 2 is creating separation between you and the people that you are giving to, or that they're always looking to you to receive help from. This was helpful for me as a type 9 because type 9s tend to merge with other people around them and want deep union and deep bonds with people around them, and they fear separation. They fear that, separation that might make you step into being your own person, right? And I needed boundaries so badly, but I didn't even know that's a thing, or like that's a thing that people write books about. And I was like, I remember the first time hearing about boundaries, I was like, what's boundary? Like saying no, and just being able to say no, which is part of setting boundaries, learning to say no, because one thing that this book talked about that was super helpful for me when I learned was, if you don't have the ability to say no, then all of your yeses are not truly yeses. It's like the only option you have. A yes is truly a yes when you have the option to say no. So boundaries, when type 2s learn to set boundaries, learn to, really learn to say no, which is part of boundary setting, it gives them freedom to be their own person. So type 2s who have gotten so accustomed to always saying yes when people ask for help, or even helping when people have not asked for their help, but feeling like they need to help, this compulsive need to help. Otherwise, I'm gonna feel like I'm not I'm not worthy because I'm not being helpful. Because helpfulness for type 2s is equal to being worthy. When you learn boundaries, you truly learn to love and give first to number one, to you. You learn to love yourself. You learn to give to yourself. And you learn to honor your own needs and ask for your needs. You learn to honor your own needs. Let's say you're a type 2 individual you know what, today I actually need to value me resting. So for me saying yes when I actually don't want to say no to an offer to help someone, that's a self-sabotaging behavior. And over time, these self-sabotaging behavior, which really means doing something that you don't believe is in accord to what's actually best for you. So if your need today is to rest, and then you go ahead and say yes and offer help, that's self-sabotaging. Then that's going to cause you to not trust yourself, to respect yourself, to love yourself. Over time, if these patterns continue, that's what's going to end up happening. And so it's very, very crucial that people of the type 2 personality type and also type 9 learn to set boundaries, because once you learn to become your own person, once you become your own individual being, not your identity depending on you helping or, being so close to other people. When you become your own person, when you learn to be alone, create your own boundaries, ask yourself, what do I need in this moment? What are my needs? What are my desires? Like that helps you now form much more authentic, true, deep connections with everybody around you. And that is a gift that if you learn boundary settings, you can give to people around you. And the relationships that you are already a part of are going to take a whole new color and become so much more beautiful, because now people are interacting with the real, authentic you, not the version of you that can say no when it actually wants to say no. That's not authentic. If you want to say no but you don't think you can say no, that's not authentic. So people are not interacting with the authentic you, with the real you. And my invitation for type 2s and type 9s also is like, we want to know and interact with the real you. And you have to believe that even if you say no to people, that you will be loved, because your worthiness is not dependent on you helping. It's not. It's just a belief and a story that we've told ourselves, that our personality has believed to be true. But it's not the case. And the more you learn to honor your own needs, the more you learn to honor your own really spirit, the more everybody around you will benefit. And then your giving will come from a much deeper place. And when you open yourself to also learning to receive, then now you're giving that gift that you receive from giving, the joy that you receive from giving. Now you're allowing other people to receive that as well. Now you're giving them the opportunity to give to you, and you be the recipient. Because I promise you, people would love to give to you. They have just come into this belief that you have no needs, because you have shown that you have no needs. You've always been the superhero, the superman, superwoman that's always been giving but never has had needs. When you become more authentic to you, which, in times of integration, type 2 actually goes to type 4. And the main issue that the type 4 always struggles with is authenticity. They want to be authentic. So this is the path of growth for a type 2. The type 2 individual needs to strive for authenticity. And one of the main things about authenticity is saying authentic yeses and authentic nos. And through learning boundaries, through overcoming codependent behaviors, you can be that person. You can become that authentic individual that is in there, but hasn't had the courage to state its own needs, to be its own person, and if it doesn't want to help one day, it can say no to that. So my invitation for you beautiful 2 individuals out there is to honor your own needs, is to learn to draw your boundaries, is to not feel like if you don't help that people can't figure it out on their own. If you step back a little bit on the helping, you're going to empower other people, because now they're going to learn to fend for themselves. They're going to learn to take care of themselves. They're going to learn to become more responsible for themselves. So it's a gift that can help them grow. And then when you give, it's from a real place. So we love you, type 2s. You are gifts to this world, just like any other type. And I have been a recipient of generous, gracious type 2 givings in the past from beautiful type 2 individuals in my own life. We love you, but we want to meet the real you, the authentic you. And that's accepted, and that's going to be worthy. And the people that don't accept that, then they were not ever meant to be in your life in the first place. You want people that love the authentic you. And if you step into your own authenticity and then people don't like that, fine, bye. You were not meant to be there in the first place. So I hope that you check out these books, and make sure to also check out our prior week's video, which is type 1, because if you, in Enneagram lingo, basically the 2 types on the Enneagram symbol, the 2 types next to each type are its wings. And one of those wings is going to be more dominant, but we all have characteristics of those 2 types next to us. So make sure to check out last week's video on type 1, because if you have a dominant type 1 wing, that's going to be very helpful. And make sure to check out next week's video also, which is type 3's book recommendations, because you might have that as your dominant wing, or you have that either way as a wing. So it would be good to also check out the blind spots of those 2 along your own main type's blind spots. So I absolutely hope that this was helpful for you. Please let me know if you're type 2, and if there have been books that on your own journey have helped you tremendously, because I would love to learn more. Obviously, I'm not a type 2, but we can all learn from each other, and type 2s and 9s are very similar, so that would be especially helpful for me as well. Thank you for watching, and please, if you haven't done so already, please follow us, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're watching this there, follow us on Facebook, and go to our website to check out our awesome courses on Enneagram, and I truly hope to see you there. Thank you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Thank you guys so much for watching our key stamp video. We truly appreciate it. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions regarding anything we just discussed, or anything related to Enneagram or yoga, or anything else that we discussed on Keystamp, please direct message us on Instagram @Keystamp, and we'll answer your question there. To register for one of our upcoming free webinars, you can go to keystamp.com. All the information is there, and we would love to see you in one of those classes. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.